YouTube. Hello, YouTube. How are we doing today? Hello, everybody. How are we doing on YouTube? Hello, all. Hopefully, Misha's Misha today. Nobody else. Let me get adjust camera. Yeah, camera's good. And get actually TikTok's ready to rock and roll. Yeah, I'm ready to start TikTok. All right. Boom. There we go. TikTok is live, baby. Video is mirrored. Yeah, good enough. I think TikTok's okay. The sunlight, we'll see if the sunlight's a problem or not for TikTok. Hey, Ash, let's see if the sunlight's an issue because it's overcast but bright. You know, you can see the sun, but it's actually very cloudy. But it's like shining through the clouds, so I don't know if it's going to affect TikTok. If it does, I'll have to shut the curtains. Anyway, we'll see about that. We will see. Hey, Flower Lady. Hey, Ash, thank you for the heart. Oh, welcome, guys. Kind of a crazy news day. We'll start with the TikTok ban. There's good news there. Then we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk stuff. Horrific news there from Trump. And then just ends up being a lot of news today. So anyway, thank you, Casey. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for the gifts, guys. You know, I appreciate the gifts. Keep them coming. And just as always, we'll remind folks, viewers with red badges are members of my fan club. Look out for red badges. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Red badges are fan club members? So does that mean like Fallen, like your number one thing? Is that a fan club thing? I don't understand TikTok sometimes. It confuses me. It gave me a little notice that viewers with red tags next to their name are your fan club. I was like, okay. Well, the super fan thing is live. Actually, I should mention that to you guys again. You are super fan. You're super fans. Super fans. So the super fan thing is live. TikTok is migrating the subscribers to super fans. I don't have a choice. You don't have. Well, you have a choice. I have no choice. They are, and I'm sorry about this, but they are upping the price tag to $9.99. I had nothing to do with this, and there's only like one price because it screws people actually. Because some people get kind of screwed because there are small creators who charge like $2 and $3 because they're small creators. They can't charge $10, right? Or you've got big creators that charge like $30 and get away with it. Well, not anymore. In any case, so it's going to be $9.99. And we can still do the Saturday only lives and the lives, but again, you got to pay the new amount. It will kick in, I think, in 3 months. I think they're giving you double check, don't hold me to this, but I think they're giving you 3 months grace that the old price stays, and then by the third month it kicks up. So be aware. If you can stick with it, I'd appreciate it, but I realize it's a lot of money. So I realize that. So anyway. That's funny. I know the mirror thing. I don't know how the desk changed. That on my on YouTube, you can sort of see my mirror back there, and you can see like the reflection of me at the desk and stuff. And I don't quite know what changed that the mirror is suddenly visible. I don't know. I actually don't know what changed. I don't know if my table was a different angle or something. It's weird because it wasn't like previously. I know what it was. You know what it was? I got a new arm for my camera, the thing that holds my camera up, and it's different. The old one was bigger, but it kept breaking. This one's shorter, so the camera's in a different position. Okay, I remember now. That's why. So if my camera, for example, I'm looking at my screen now. Sorry, TikTokers. I'm talking to the YouTube and Discord folks. I'm looking straight at my screen, but for you guys, I'm looking away because the camera's over here. So my camera is off a little. That's why you're getting a bigger view of the room. Okay, we figured it out now. Yeah, so let's start with the news, guys. We'll get rolling. Remember, I've got my wish list on TikTok, so you guys know how that works. But let's get going. So TikTok deal with Trump. Okay, it's Trump. So, Trump has reached a deal with China on TikTok, tentatively, to save TikTok. So it is not going to get banned in the next few days. I pretty much knew that. I told people this weekend. Callum was like, Trump said he might ban TikTok. I said, Callum, this is Trump. So I did a video, and I tried to calm people down. I was right, because I said, okay, to me, I hear Donald Trump blustering as a negotiating ploy. I'll bet you. And then I said, I'll bet you he's negotiating with the Chinese. I pull up the New York Times. Trump's negotiating with the Chinese. So this was a negotiating ploy. He got the Chinese. Well, here's the issue. Let me read this to you. They reached a framework deal. Treasury Secretary Bessent told reporters that a framework to keep ByteDance TikTok's app to keep the TikTok app running in the U.S. has been reached. China's vice commerce minister told reporters in Madrid that a framework of consensus had been reached. A framework of consensus. You know what that sounds like? Doesn't that sound like the what was it? Concepts of a deal or concepts of a program? Whatever the hell Trump was doing. A framework of consensus means you've reached a general agreement, but the consensus, the details have not been reached though. Listen to this. Framework of consensus has been reached while cautioning that Beijing won't sacrifice principles for a deal. So, okay, concept of a plan. Thank you, Flamingo or Flaming. So the Chinese are on board, but they're not on board. The Chinese have said, yeah, we have a concept of a deal, but we're not going to sacrifice our principles for the deal. Well, what worries me a little, if the Chinese are still saying we're not going to sacrifice our principles, then that means there really isn't a deal yet entirely, right? So anyway, let's see. But it's, well, I shouldn't say it's good news. It's good. I think it's good news TikTok isn't going to get shut down in a few days. What worries me is the deal that was on the table a few months ago was that the Americans take over TikTok. China retains like a 20% or less ownership stake. TikTok US. I keep forgetting we're very, we Americans, we're very America-centric. TikTok US. The rest of you around the world are still independent. But for TikTok US, the Americans, the deal was that we were proposing months ago, Trump was. US takes over. Larry Ellison at Oracle kind of becomes the big guy. Now that's kind of scary because Larry Ellison at Oracle is another Elon Musk in terms of he's like the other richest guy in the world, and he's a big MAGA guy. His son is the one that Daddy is helping finance. His son is the guy that bought CBS News and is now magnifying one of the biggest news outlets in America. His son is the guy that's trying to buy CNN, who will then magnify CNN. So having Larry Ellison be the guy that might buy TikTok is a little scary because of what else is happening out there with Trump and Ellison and MAGA. We don't know. We don't know if Oracle's part of the deal or not. We don't know. But that was the proposal that was on the table a few months ago. So that worries me. The other thing that worries me, Trump wanted the U.S. to own part of TikTok US operations. Trump wanted the U.S. government to own part of it. Well, I thought that was a little creepy, right? Like we don't want the Chinese government owning TikTok, or not owning, but having influence in TikTok, but we're okay with the American government having influence in TikTok. For example, Donald Trump wants it because, right? Trump would love to have part ownership of TikTok, right? Because maybe he would put his finger on the scale, right? Well, what's going to stop a Democratic president from doing that too? President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, what's going to stop her from using American-owned TikTok? U.S. government-owned TikTok, in fact, was the proposal from Trump. What would stop her from using TikTok to help Democrats in an election? Nothing. That's the danger. That is why a lot of people like me and other smart people out there, other good people out there, say you've got to, even if it's something you might like, you've got to be careful because the other guy might do it too, right? If you set up, for example, here's an example from the last week, political violence. I don't like political violence. But I've said to you guys repeatedly, one of the dangers of political violence isn't just that the violence itself is bad and immoral and wrong. It's that other people might respond to the violence with their own violence, which is equally horrific. This is a same argument. Do you want Republicans doing things that if you're Republican, you say, yay, forget about the violence. Now we're talking about TikTok and stuff like that, government ownership. You say, oh, well, I don't mind if Donald Trump has his hands in TikTok. Okay. Do you want Barack Obama to have his hands in TikTok? Or again, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if she becomes president, you want her to have her hands in TikTok? I mean, you might be okay if your president bends the law or whatever, but are you prepared for the precedent you're setting, where then a Democratic president comes into power and they bend the law the same way you did? That's not so funny anymore. And the same thing for Democrats, right? You should care about the rule of law because you don't want Republicans violating the rule of law either. And anyway, this is sort of a common thing if you're kind of smart and think about it. It's It's kind of the golden rule in a way. Like, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Except it's a much more legal kind of argument, which is, don't set up a legal process where you do things as a Republican or Democratic politician and set a precedent for the other party to do those things back to you when they take over Washington. Very scary stuff. Anyway, that's the TikTok deal. Very, very scary article in the New York Times today. This also fits into the same category that I was just talking about you want to be very careful of what precedent you set as one political party, because the other political party will eventually take over and they can do the same thing to you. The New York Times reports that Trump is looking at designating liberal groups as domestic terror organizations. He's claiming that there's a left-wing network that funds and incites violence in America, like the Charlie Kirk shooting, and that liberal groups were directly responsible for Kirk's death. Even though we have no idea who the shooter was, we know who the shooter was, but we don't know what his motivations were. We don't know what politics were involved. The FBI has already told us he was a lone shooter. He wasn't working with any group. J.D. Vance went today and claimed, and Trump is claiming too, that actually liberal groups were involved. They've been funding this kind of terrorism, they're claiming. They're organizing it, and that liberals are behind most of the political violence in America. J.D. Vance claimed today. This is really scary stuff. It's scary on so many different levels here. Hang on a second. I'm trying to look here to see. From the New York Times. On Monday, 2 senior administration officials who spoke anonymously to describe the internal planning said cabinet secretaries and federal department heads were working to identify organizations that funded or supported violence against conservatives. The goal, they said, was to categorize left-wing activity that led to violence as domestic terrorism, an escalation that critics said could lay the groundwork for crushing anti-conservative dissent more broadly. They're talking about labeling Trump's critics domestic terrorists and the organizations they work for as domestic terror organizations. The problem is, a lot of problems here. There is no liberal group that funds violence. There is no liberal group that supports violence. It doesn't exist. So what's going on here? Well, we know what's going on here. This is incredibly dangerous stuff, guys. As the point I made before, if Donald Trump, according to the New York Times, is going to start taking liberal and democratic organizations and labeling them domestic terrorist groups and shutting them down and throwing people in prison as domestic terrorists, what's President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going to do to the National Rifle Association when she becomes president? And when she goes to court and says, I've already got a court case to do it because I've got Donald Trump's court cases, right? Trump will go to court and defend this. If Trump wins in court, if a Democrat ever wins the presidency again, they won't even need to go to court because they will have the Donald Trump court case that will say they can label domestic groups as terrorist organizations. Well, this is incredibly dangerous stuff, guys. I wanted to mention one point, and I've done research on this before, but I did it again today. Actually, I used Elon Musk's Grok because I thought, you know what? Let's use Elon Musk as my source for this. So I asked Elon Musk's AI that he's got on Twitter. And I said, because part of the reason Trump is doing this, he claims, and J.D. Vance claimed today, that most political violence is done by liberals. So I asked ChatGPT last week. It gave me quite an answer. Thank you, Papi Chulo, for the gift. I asked ChatGPT last week, and it gave me a very long answer on this. I asked Grok last week, Twitter's AI, Elon Musk's AI, gave me the same answer. But I decided to ask Grok again today. And I said, political violence in America, who's behind it? Is it the left? Is it the right? Is it the middle? Is it anybody? And which political violence is more deadly, left or right? The answer it gave me, and it cited the Anti-Defamation League, the Cato Institute, which is a kind of a libertarian, not left-wing at all, Cato, libertarian institute, and CSIS, which is the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which is they're not liberal. I don't know that I'd call them conservative. They're a defense and foreign policy think tank in town. Very respectable defense and foreign national security think tank. Not left or right. They're very just objective defense types. But because they're objective defense types, they ain't liberals, right? All three of them said that domestic political violence in America skews to right-wing violence. They said by a factor of 2 to 6. One of them said right-wing violence was like 54%, left-wing violence was like 26%. But the other one said it was like 60-some% for right-wing violence and 11% for left-wing violence. The other fact they pointed, which was fascinating, was that right-wing violence, and this is the same thing ChatGPT said last week, right-wing violence is much more deadly than left-wing violence in America. I don't know why, but the deaths from the attacks were 10 times more or 20 times more from right-wing violence. I don't care. What I mean is that's not a justification for attacking conservatives at all. But I try to be fair and objective about things. But it is true that we have the facts from the Cato Institute, from the Anti-Defamation League, and from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, for starters, and from Elon Musk's own AI, and from ChatGPT and everybody else. And you can do it yourself. You guys ought to do this yourself. You all have access to ChatGPT, to all the AIs you use. Ask the AI you use, the ones you use for free, and just ask it and say, political violence in America, is it usually blamed on the left or the right? Or nobody? Just ask it very objectively and see what it says. Again, that is what makes this so scary. It would be bad enough what the New York Times is reporting, that Trump is going to label the defense think tank. It's a national security think tank, I would say. CSIS, we call it for short. CSIS, Center for Strategic and International Studies. I actually worked there. I was that when I was an intern for Brzezinski. I was at CSIS. Very respected center think tank. But what's particularly scary about this, I mean, there's a lot of scary stuff about this. But what's really scary to me is using the false basis on all of this, claiming claiming falsely that we know the motivation of Charlie Kirk's killer. We don't. There's been speculation he's a liberal. There's been speculation he's an arch conservative, right? Then they actually, somebody today made an excellent point. They're saying, well, he had a bullet that had, anti-fascist language on it. Okay, Donald Trump used anti-fascist language during the campaign last year. He repeatedly called Joe Biden a fascist. So anti-fascist language doesn't even make you a liberal. Sometimes people on the right use that language too. We don't know. And we're not, and I've said this from the beginning, we don't yet know the motivation of the killer. And until we do, nobody should jump to conclusions about the left or the right or anything else. It's fair to look into it. It's even fair to postulate, to think about, hypothesize, but you should not, and a lot of people have done this, honestly, the right has done it a lot, right? Claiming it was Democrats and all this. But the left has done it too, claiming that he was a groyper. He was a Nick Fuentes follower. We don't know that. We don't. Again, you can postulate it, that's fine. But we don't yet know what motivated this guy. The problem is, if Trump is looking at banning domestic political groups, domestic political organizations, throwing people in prison as domestic terrorists based on false information, right? Based on his conclusion that Democrats were behind this attack when nobody yet knows. And when the FBI says he was a lone shooter. So Democrats were not behind this attack, right? Claiming, or as J.D. Vance said today, claiming that Democrats are behind most of the political violence in America. We know that's false. And as I said, anybody can just Google it yourself. Ask your own AI, that your preferred AI, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever they're called. I'm forgetting the names of the other ones, Grok. Just ask them yourself. Who is typically behind? Not even typically. What percentage of political violence in America is left wing, right wing, middle, no wing? And ask them. Just ask it yourself. But the fact that they're basing this on incorrect information is very disturbing to me, because it's very disturbing across the board. It's really scary, because at most, and we've got some of the trolls doing it today, at most, they can point to there was a crazy group during the Black Lives Matters protests, and there was a fringe group. The majority of the people were peaceful. Thank you for the meteor shower, Seknet. Now that may be, isn't the meteor shower one of our? I cannot see these damn gifts. Actually, you got to help me, an old man. Is the meteor shower one of our gifts? Is that an Ask Me? Oh, that's an Ask Me Anything. That's an Ask Me Anything, isn't it? Sekhmet, you get to ask me anything. Excuse me, ask me anything-ish. I didn't mean to change topics, but the way TikTok is set up now, they have a viewer wish function on TikTok. And I'm allowed to put up certain gifts, and I'll do certain things for them. TikTok has to approve it, and they did. And one of them is you can ask me anything-ish for a certain gift. Sekhmet actually did a very generous gift. Anyway, it's up to Sekhmet. So that's a cool name, Sekhmet. It looks it looks like almost an ancient Egyptian name. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, Russia has attacked 2 NATO countries. Does that make Article 5 more likely? I mean, yes and no. Here's the problem, okay? And this gets to you. Sekhmet is probably talking about Russia sending drones into Poland, Russia sending drones into Romania recently. And Article 5 is NATO's self-defense agreement that we all agree to come to each other's mutual defense. It's a good question. I had spoken to somebody very important, a former Eastern European government official, right before the invasion, and I'd mentioned Article 5 about Russia going after the Baltics, this kind of stuff. And the person that he said to me, Article 5 doesn't really mean anything. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, Article 5 doesn't mean we all go to war. Article 5 means any country, a member of NATO, says, I feel that my country is under attack, and I invoke the collective defense of NATO, whatever. And you've now got to have a meeting of I forget what they call it, whether it's the NATO governors, I forget what they call them, but the top NATO officials get together from each country. And they've got there were 32? I always forget, is it 32? Are we up to 33 now? The Russians helped us grow. I keep forgetting if we're 32 or 33. Thank you for the gift there, Marcia. Thank you, Jonathan, as well. The NATO leaders get together and they discuss. And thank you, Ben, we'll talk about that in a second. Or remind me to talk about that in a second. And NATO discusses, and let's pretend it's Poland and the drones. And NATO, or even better, Poland and Romania for the drones. NATO then gets together and says, well, Poland and Romania say they're under attack by the Russians. Poland and Romania say they want us to invoke Article 5, which is the mutual defense commitment under NATO. Let's pretend that it's unanimous among the NATO ambassadors or the NATO honchos that get together. First, it's got to be unanimous to invoke Article 5. Poland and Romania can ask for Article 5, but NATO itself has to be unanimous. So do the Hungarians agree? Do the Slovaks agree that are both pro-Putin? Thank you, Marcia. Cool gift there. Appreciate that. Who knows? So that's the first step. It's got to be unanimous for Article 5 to be accepted. Second problem, this Eastern European official told me, so what? He said, Article 5, let's pretend we invoke Article 5. That doesn't mean we all go to war. And we had looked at this years ago for Ukraine. If you pull up Article 5, there's some really hedging language in there that kind of says each country will come to the aid of the victim to the degree possible and to the degree it wants. And it was basically, even if we invoke Article 5, even if NATO says, yes, this was an attack on a NATO, oh, thank you for the gift there, Marsha. This was an attack on a NATO ally. Article 5 says, we will come to your aid if we're able to, and to the degree to which we are able to, A, and B, only if we want to. So it still hedges that we don't even have to come and help you, even if we invoke it. So that's the problem there. Now, Article 5 with this, Trump isn't going to want to invoke Article 5 and piss off Putin. The Hungarians and the Slovakians won't either. So that's not very helpful. So I do not see this going there. Trump has already poo-pooed the Russian drone invasion and said, oh, it was an accident. The Ukrainians shot the drones down and they fell into Poland. And the Polish prime minister had to come out and tweet and go, it was not an accident. So Trump doesn't want Article 5 to happen either. Anyway, so that's my answer. Thank you for the gift again. That was very nice of you. But I do not see Article 5 happening over this. Poland did invoke Article 4. That is true, as Keegan said. But and that's, something, but it's not going to matter too much. All right. I'm looking here to see what else I had. Oh, so, a couple things worth mentioning. The most famous recent example of domestic terrorism in the U.S. was January 6th, the insurrection, right? 2021. As a result of that domestic terrorism that was violent, several of the people had weapons. 140 police officers were injured, were assaulted. As a result of that attempt to overthrow our government, Donald Trump pardoned over 1,500 people, including people convicted of seditious conspiracy, sedition, and he pardoned them. Again, Democrats are very bad at this. Democrats are very bad at messaging. Democrats, after what the New York Times reported today about, labeling liberal groups domestic terrorist organizations, Democrats should have lost their minds on Capitol Hill today. I doubt they did. And this is very dangerous. One other point I wanted to mention, 2009, April of 2009, the Obama Department of Homeland Security published an intelligence assessment titled Right-Wing Extremism, Current Economic and Political Climate Fueling Resurgence and Radicalization and Recruitment. The report was widely mischaracterized and faced severe political backlash by Republicans, which led the Obama administration to withdraw it and disband the unit that produced it. The Obama people produced a report about right-wing extremism and that there was a danger of domestic terrorism in America from right-wing extremism. The Republicans killed it because they didn't like it that they were being accused of domestic terrorism. And the Obama people got scared, pulled the report, and they even got rid of the division that was investigating the right-wing possible terrorism. They just got rid of it because Republicans complained. The Republicans are very good at the messaging on these things. Democrats are not. All right. Utah's governor. So Utah's governor, no longer a good guy. He was a Republican, was trying to calm things down on the Charlie Kirk shooting. Very well, he was trying to calm things down. And I was very impressed with him, actually. He was trying to be not partisan. We've got to come together as a country. Well, that changed yesterday. He went on CNN yesterday morning and blamed the left for the shooting. He offered no proof. The super chat. I'm sorry. You're right. Sorry, Ben had a super chat. Thank you for reminding me of that. Perfect. You know what? Let's talk about that, and then we'll get into the governor. That's perfect because we're still on the topic. So actually, that's a perfect segue, Ben, because I was talking about the governor anyway. The governor did two things. He claimed that the shooter was taken over, was radicalized by a leftist ideology. First of all, a leftist ideology. Here's the problem with that. The word leftist is a biased MAGA activist word. It is a word used in very activist Republican and I would say somewhat right-wing Republican circles. Leftist. Leftist traditionally means like Marxist, stuff like that. Leftists do not mean Democrats. It didn't in the past. It's an activist word, using the word leftist. It is not a word that mainstream Americans use. It is not a word that mainstream politicians use. The governor of Utah blaming this now on leftist ideology is concerning because it suggests bias. It suggests that for some reason, he now is not trying to bring us all together, but is trying to blame Democrats. That's the first concern. The second thing, he got into a topic that his office, I guess, has been leaking, and Fox News then jumped on it, and they're discussing it now. Now, I guess I believe this, but I'm a little. Oh, are you kidding me? Actually, Stephanie, is that true? Stephanie, my only concern with that is I want to make sure that's correct. What I'm about to tell you, which is based on Ben Mattson. So Ben Mattson says, take on the trans roommate. Wasn't sure it was real till it was on CNN. Well, it wasn't on CNN. CNN discussed that the other people are claiming it, right? I don't know that CNN, I wonder whether CNN said it's true or whether CNN said it's true that the Republican governor of Utah is claiming it's true. Conspiracy part of me wants to believe it's too convenient. It's certainly very convenient. I am curious of what was it, Steffi, that just said? Someone found his TikTok with videos. Fair enough, but I'd want to see, it led him to the actual, fair enough, I'd want to see that in person to make sure it isn't just rumor. But what the Republican governor is now claiming is that the shooter had a roommate, and the roommate was actually his lover. And the lover was a guy who is trans and transitioning to become a woman, is the claim. Now, the governor also said this roommate has been incredibly helpful and is cooperating and has been super, super, super helpful, had no idea what was going on. It's hard to believe that the governor would lie about this or the governor would say this without knowing for sure. It certainly, hold on, I'm looking at this. I've got a lot of problems with this. First of all, I don't know that I believe these guys. These are the same folks who told us stuff at the beginning. Hang on, let me pull this up. Yeah, it may be true. It may be true. I'm not sure. Second of all, I'm not sure I care. Why does it matter if the shooter had a trans roommate or a trans boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever? I'm not quite sure, right? Why does it matter? I mean, again, what worries me is this is part of that larger effort. We learned last week, New York Times reported, others did, that the Trump administration is looking into banning gun ownership by all trans. This was before Charlie Kirk, so 2 weeks ago now, probably before Charlie Kirk, that the Trump administration is looking into banning all transgender gun ownership, all trans people from owning guns, all of them claim, and there could be a million or two. I mean, we're 330 million people. Thank you, Dave, for the mask. Banning it because, and this is the Justice Department, wants to claim that all transgender people in America are mentally ill, is the false claim that the New York Times said the Justice Department was looking at making. That's a pretty horrific claim. I mean, as I've said before, you can disagree about certain aspects of transgender rights if you want to, right? You can debate the sports issue. You can debate lots of issues, right? And that's fine. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, DRW. But to suggest that all transgender people are mentally ill is bigoted. It's clearly false on its face, and it's not just bigoted, it's very scary. I mean, to claim that 1 million or 2 million Americans, because you don't like them, you don't like, the way they were born, are mentally ill, and you're going to take away a constitutional right from them. Because gun ownership, whether we like it or not, in America, gun ownership is a constitutional right. So you're going to take constitutional rights away. And by the way, NRA, National Rifle Association, if Trump wants to go to court and say he can take away gun rights from classes of Americans, then let's just wait until the Democrat becomes president and see what happens next. It could be 1 million or 2, Carrie. I was telling this before because I was telling people on TikTok. We've got 333 million Americans. That's 10% is 30 million. 1% is 3 million. If trans people are 0.5% of the population, they'd be 1.5 million or 1.65 million. Right? I don't know. Could they be 1%? Could they be 0.5%? Yeah. What if they're a third less? What if they're 0.3%? Right now we're getting into categories where you'd go, yeah, that could be true. Thank you, Marcia. Right? If they're 0.3%, that would still be 1 million people. So yeah, you could have 1 million trans people. Obviously, mods just get rid of everybody who's being bigoted, of course. Yeah, this is so that's what's worrisome about the governor now getting into this trans thing. Like it matters that his roommate was transgender. If his roommate was trans at all, we don't know, right? We don't know. There was somebody just asked about it, Mr. Autumn. There was a Washington Post journalist, opinion writer, who got fired she wrote a tweet and she quoted Charlie Kirk. That's it. She wrote a tweet quoting Charlie Kirk. She wrote his quote and she signed his name, Charlie Kirk. They fired her for that. I mean, really? Really? I mean, it literally was a quote from him. It's like, man, oh man, oh man. Anyway, Ben, yeah, I honestly, do I believe the Republican governor of Utah? I did until he started getting more political. Thank you, Limoncello. Do I believe Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who run the FBI? No. Thank you, Russell. I just don't. They're MAGA activists. I just don't. So I'm not going to trust them. It's unfortunate. And most of the news is getting leaked via Fox News, and I don't really trust them either. So it's unfortunate because I'd like to be able to trust the news we're getting on this. But, I will say this. I kind of feel like if all of this were true, wouldn't we be hearing a lot more? If this guy was a Democrat, wouldn't we know that by now? Meaning, wouldn't they tell us, right? We know these guys are trying to blame Democrats. Why wouldn't they have told? It's been 5 days? I forgot what day the attack was. Was it Wednesday? Or what day was the attack? I'm already forgetting it. Was it like Wednesday or Thursday maybe? It's been like 5 days. They've been trying to blame Democrats. If they had evidence blaming Democrats, thank you, Marcia. Wednesday, thank you guys. It's been 5 days. They were 5 days, yeah. They would have, it was the day before September 11th. You're right about that, September 10th. I remember it was the day before. You're right. Yeah, today's the 15th, so 5 days. If they had proof this guy was a Democrat, they would have leaked it. They leaked the roommate being trans, allegedly, right? It is interesting, and somebody else had said this. It's just interesting to me how little information we have about this guy, right? You'd think there'd be a lot more information. For example, all his social media. Where's all of his social media? Typically, when this stuff happens, people find all of the social media. We're not finding anything on him. I mean, it's just a little like there doesn't seem to be a ton of info on this guy, Anyway, but his Discord and Twitch, well, they lied about Discord too. Discord came out and said the FBI lied about Discord. FBI and the authorities claimed that the shooter had done all sorts of stuff on Discord regarding the shooting, blah, blah, blah. And Discord issued a statement and said, that's a lie. We looked for his account. He had an account. He didn't use it much. He didn't plan the shooting. He didn't discuss the shooting. They basically accused the FBI and the Utah authorities of lying about this. So, at some point, we're going to have to trust what we read about this story. But I will say that, if there were damning evidence about this guy being left-wing, thank you, Jan, or Jan. I'm calling you Jan. Last name's Halverson. I'm going to guess the first name might be Jan. If this guy was absolutely positively left-wing and they had the proof, they would have leaked it days ago. It makes me wonder. But again, he might be left-wing. You know what I mean? We just don't know. I just think it's very weird that there isn't any sort of evidence of anything. Now, tomorrow, supposedly, they may be filing the charges or whatever against him, or whatever the next step is. So they might, I don't know if they're going to release some of the evidence or whether it's just a longer document, that explains what's going on. I don't know. I don't think Dragon thinks he's a fall guy. Keep the gifts coming, by the way, guys. Appreciate it. I do not believe he's a fall guy. Here's why. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and so he's innocent, but he turned himself in. I mean, no. As a lawyer myself, thank you, Tired. As a lawyer myself, turning yourself in is not 100% proof that you're guilty. I mean, it certainly looks like a confession of guilt. You could be crazy. I mean, you could have been pressured by dad, right? I mean, did dad guilt you into going? I mean, so my point is, legally, just because you turned yourself in, and by the way, he's refusing to speak, right? He turned himself in to the cops, but he refused to, from what we know, he did not confess to the cops. He's not saying anything to the cops. Thank you, Oklahoma. So legally, I don't think turning himself in is legal proof that he's guilty. It certainly isn't something innocent people tend to do. They did say, correct, Michelle, they did say they have DNA evidence. Again, if they're telling the truth. His dad apparently is not a cop. There was initial story that his dad was a sheriff, and then the follow-on said his dad was not a sheriff, so who the hell knows? Yeah, Cash Patel said there's DNA. That's Cash Patel. So, that and $5 will get you a Starbucks Frappuccino. Who knows? I really don't trust Cash Patel, and I don't trust Dan Bongino. I probably trust the Utah authorities more. Not probably. I certainly trust the Utah authorities more. But I certainly don't trust the Trump people to tell me what. I mean, Trump didn't even tell us. Thank you, Melissa, for the hat. The Trump people didn't even tell us they didn't catch him, but the guy turned himself in. The guy turned himself in at midnight. They waited until the next morning to tell us because Trump wanted to go on Fox News and announce it himself. So they let Utah think there was some murderer on the loose for 10 hours because Trump wanted to announce it himself. So I just don't, I take it with a grain of salt, I guess is my point. No, there's no way he said that, Mike. No way. Let me look. I mean, Mike, I'd like to see the source for that. Hold on a second. First of all, that could have been, one second. Representative Tyler. Mike was quoting something. Washington Post 7 minutes ago, maybe. Okay, maybe they're finally releasing the evidence here. The 22-year-old, this is Washington Post 7 minutes ago. The 22-year-old suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing appears to have confessed to friends in an online chat shortly before turning himself into law enforcement. Oh, well, this gets more interesting. According to two people familiar with the chat and screenshots obtained by the Washington Post. Hey guys, I have bad news for you all, said a message from an account belonging to the suspect. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this. The message was sent Thursday night about 2 hours before officials said Robinson was taken into custody. A member of the group chat shared an image of the conversation with the Washington Post that confirmed that it came from Robinson's account. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity. I don't blame them for that. Discord provided a copy of the message with a confession to authorities. The message was sent from Robinson's account to a small private group of online friends. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Discord, yeah, that's very interesting. Just looking here. Oops, is my speaker? Should have been off. That's weird. Now, interesting question. Legally, was there a wig? Was there a gift? Did I miss a gift? Someone gifted a whale. Well, don't just say someone. Who gifted a whale? I will get the wig. All right, somebody gifted a whale. We get the wig for the whale. Find me who we have. By the way, like I said, somebody has got to teach me how to fix my Trump hair because it's a mess. Whale wig. Thank you, Denise, for the gift. Denise, Cheryl. Oh, there it is. Oklahoma. Thank you, Oklahoma. I appreciate that. It was Oklahoma. Well, because you remember, you can scroll back and look. My hair is a mess. We have got to get me a comb for this stuff. Thank you, Oklahoma. Very nice of you. Appreciate that. Best gift ever. So thank you for that. I leave the wig on for a minute when we got it up here. The more messed up, the better. Maybe, although I feel like it's becoming like now I feel like I'm Carol Channing or something. I don't think gel. I mean, I think I've got to find some kind of, hold on, I've got to, also it's hard to, because I'm looking backwards on the screen. So it's like hard to, actually, that helps. Oh, that does help a little. Oh, that did help a little when I did that. It's just itching me a little. That actually got it a little under order. I do not have a P.O. box now. They're too expensive, and they kept sending me all the stuff from all the spam, I was calling it, all the junk mail from the people before me. So anyway, that is very interesting if he confessed it to friends. My suspicion is, well, that's very interesting. My suspicion is that should be usable in court. Yeah, it's a written confession. Yeah. I mean, that's assuming he wasn't. Now, the only Amazon synthetic hairbrush, is that true? My only thing that I'd like to know is, well, if it was 2 hours before he turned himself in, that he wasn't joking. Because at one point he said, hey, doppelganger. People said, oh, it looks like you. He said, doppelganger or whatever. Like you could see him. Well, it came from Stephanie. Stephanie says, how do you prove he wrote it? Came from his account. You don't know that he wrote it. You would still need to prove, okay, get the information from Discord servers that shows the IP address of the person who posted that comment at that hour, and have Discord prove that, aha, that was an IP address in St. George, Utah, the same town his family is in. Even better, that's an IP address that now they go to Comcast or somebody else. And Comcast is willing to say, oh, that's the IP address that belongs to the Robinson family, right? So you would need, in order to prove it in court, you would need to prove that this is his account. Now, but it's not just proving it's his account. Somebody else could break into his account. I mean, a neighbor, his roommate could have done it. I mean, right? I mean, you do need to prove it, I think. No, but you'd still have to get Discord to provide information, and maybe his internet provider as well. Well, accounts get hacked. We just had Misha's account get hacked on Friday, So for a court of law, I don't know. I don't know how it would work for a criminal trial, whether the judge would say, you can submit it, but the jury can decide whether they believe it's real or not, right? Bob, you're about to leave us. I'm a lawyer. I have a Georgetown law degree. I was just explaining how the law works in court. If you think that's defending anybody, then you're probably visiting the wrong live, because on this live, we tell the truth about the law, especially. So I think you're going to take a little time out because you're being kind of trolly. Not cool. Literally talking about, although I think he's a troll, because that was literally a trolly comment. Because we're literally talking about how the law would work with a jury and whether you could submit it or whether you need proof. That is like, it's so not defending the guy that it makes me wonder if somebody's using troll talking points. You know what I mean? That's a little too trolly. I always tell you how the trolls will give you an answer that doesn't relate to what you're actually talking about. Could his attorney stipulate that he wrote it in court? Not sure what you mean by that. Well, that's a question too, Denise. We are hearing conflicting stories that he lived at home. We're hearing that he lived with a roommate. We're hearing maybe he lived part-time both. Not really clear. Thank you, Marsha, for the feather tiara. Not really clear which one is which. We've seen both. So I don't know. What do I personally think about what, Alan? About what? Who he lived with or what? Was it Alan or Alien? I'm calling you Alan. Without my glasses, your name could be Alan. It could be Alien. But I'm seeing intelligence, which makes me think it's Alien. I think they'll have to subpoena the logs. That was my thought too. Yeah, that was my thought too. Because they've got to prove, you got to prove this was him. Anyway. Oh, it is Alan. Oh, I thought it said Alan, but then I saw intelligence. I thought, oh, alien intelligence it must be. What do I think about the shooter's motivations? I still feel like he might be a left-winger, But it's weird that there's no evidence, right? There should be because look, Utah to some degree, but the FBI absolutely. Trump wants to pin this on liberals. They would be leaking stuff left and right if they had evidence pinning this on liberals. Why aren't they leaking stuff about this guy being a liberal? Because they don't have it, probably. Even this confession, the confession is interesting, but it doesn't say why he did it, right? He was mad at, Kat just said he was mad at Charlie Kirk. Yeah, but we don't know why he was mad at Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, by the way, some of the news stories, a lot of the media, I don't know what they're doing with the story. The big news story about his family, or somebody said, the family member said that he was discussing with a family member a couple days before Kirk came to Utah. And he was discussing with the family member, Kirk coming, and he wasn't happy about it. And the family member also said Kirk spreads hate or whatever. Well, why haven't they told us? Why didn't the reporters get the rest of the conversation? Well, my guess is the police aren't saying, right? It strikes me as odd that they're letting us know that, oh, he had a debate, he had a discussion with a family member about how he doesn't like Charlie Kirk. Okay, why doesn't he like Charlie Kirk? Is Charlie Kirk too left-wing, too right-wing, too something else, right? I mean, part of the accusation by some people is that the shooter was extreme right. The extreme right doesn't like Charlie Kirk. The Nick Fuentes crowd, these sort of these white supremacists hate Charlie Kirk, right? That he's not right-wing enough, as Stormwriter just said. Having said that, people on the left don't like Charlie Kirk either, right? It's weird to me. That's another example of how, for some reason, the facts in this case, we're not getting the full story. Why aren't they? They say that he had a discussion with a family member about not liking Charlie Kirk, but they don't tell us what the discussion was, right? Why isn't it's not just the media, but why didn't the government officials who released that information, he had a discussion with a family member about not liking Charlie Kirk, why didn't they tell us why he didn't like Charlie Kirk? Again, I feel like if it was obvious he was a liberal, for example, they would have told us he said he didn't like Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk was racist, sexist, or something like that, right? If he said that, I feel like they would have told us that. It's weird. That's what I'm saying. Too much of this story, they're not giving us enough info, and it makes me feel like they don't have the info, right? It's very weird. It's very weird. What else with this? I mean, we're going to talk, there's a little bit of extra news as well here I was going to mention at the end, but since we're on a roll here, I don't mind talking more about this because this is clearly the big story. Somebody just said it's weird Stormwriter said weird he turned himself in as he's cooperating. I was reading a Mormon woman on Twitter the other day, and she actually said the opposite. She said, oh no. She said, this is like the most Mormon story ever. She said, the notion that his father confronted him and first he said, no, I'm not turning myself in. And the father talked to him more and convinced him it was the right thing to do to turn yourself in. And then the father drove him to the police station to turn himself in. She said, as a Mormon, that this was the most Mormon thing ever. She said, this was literally like a lesson out of Mormon Sunday school. Where and then you did the right thing and you talked to and the father called his preacher as well, I believe. Like you talked to your father and then the father talked to the preacher and you all agreed that it was the best thing to do the right thing, right? I mean, so it is not necessarily, I mean, I'm not Mormon, so I don't know this stuff, but it's not, I will say as a Christian, it's possible somebody is convinced to do the right thing and turn themselves in. It happens. It totally happens. Right? So that does not surprise me. But again, it also could be a super Mormon thing to do too, that there's more of a code of doing the right thing. But again, it doesn't surprise me that somebody might turn themselves in, especially a 22-year-old after talking to their father, because also at that point, what do you do? Your father knows? Well, now everyone's going to know. So what choices do you have? You know what I mean? And my head is suddenly itchy. I made some brioche tonight, which I'm going to try later. I don't know if it's any good, but we'll see. Yeah, there's a little bit of Ukraine news we'll get to in a second. But since we're in the middle of this, I didn't want to change topics yet. CTR, choose the right. Okay, there you go. Yeah. You know, Sudeki. It's brioche, so it's a little less sweet. I had Sudeki last week, but it's less sweet than Sudeki. So, but Sudeki is Greek brioche really. Interesting. There's a Mormon belief that bloodshed needs to happen if you sin extensively. Bottom line is they're not a big fans of sin. Yes. I mean, brioche is pretty easy. It's basically bread with a lot of butter and a lot of egg and a decent amount of sugar. I did not mention anything about that, but that sounds kind of creepy, Michelle. I don't even want to mention that because it sounds kind of creepy. I don't want to get in trouble. But also, I guess I'm not surprised. Why not? I can see the family going, we know the details. We don't need more, we don't need more medical examinations. Let's put it that way, right? The family knows exactly what happened, how he died, Anyway, what else? I think he's pretty safe in prison. Yeah, people are saying, is he safe in prison? I think so. Thank you, Annie. Is that a goat? Well, we're asking now, big or small goat? So that's our big or small goat, Annie. Since people said I should ask, and I was like, that's a good point. We might as well ask. Small. Okay. I don't know. That's an interesting question as to where the. Hold on. Oh, here he is. He was hiding behind my iPad because he's so small. There's our little Greek goat. We get that for the Galaxy gift. Thank you again, Annie. Yes, I did hear Charlie Kirk's wife's video. I did. I watched that. I will not be commenting on that for my own well-being. Anyway, but yeah, no, I think he's safe. I don't see why he'd be in any danger in prison or whatever. I don't think so. What else? Oh, excuse me. Now we got people wanting to talk about brioche. I'm just going to make some slices and toast it. But a little different because I'm used to the Greek one, which is sweeter. TikTok. I did talk about TikTok news earlier. We don't have the details. Supposedly, an agreement was reached in principle, but we don't know the details yet. So I'm a little. Did the yawns begin? I didn't even notice. So I'm not entirely convinced yet that we know what's going on with TikTok. There we go. Moving that a little bit. Now you can see my snake. Actually, my snake plant's doing really well. I'm very happy. This one's getting a few new shoots, which is making me very happy. I am a DC Joker, yes. Anyway, Dawn, that's a riddle for the ages there. All right, let's a little more news. Elon Musk on Saturday said that the United Kingdom needs revolutionary government change, speaking virtually at a far-right anti-immigration protest in London. Quote, there needs to be massive government reform in Britain, and the people need to be in charge, not some bureaucracy that doesn't care, Musk said in a Q&A with far-right political activist Tommy Robinson, the organizer of the rally. In other inflammatory remarks on Saturday, Musk told the crowd via live stream on a big screen that violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. Elon also added, in a reference to the Charlie Kirk case, that the left is the party of murder. I really don't understand how his businesses stay afloat. U.S. military, Trump attacked a second vessel in international waters today. A second Venezuelan vessel was blown up, killing 3 people. Trump is now announcing this weekend he's sending the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee. The Republican governor of Tennessee said he wants the National Guard in Memphis. The mayor of Memphis said, I don't think so. Crime has been going down in Memphis, although it is still higher than other parts around the country. Trump weaseled out of sanctioning Russia this weekend. I think this happened this weekend. Remember Trump's been saying, 2 weeks from now, we're gonna be sanctioning Russia. Well, now Trump said, he wrote this big long thing this weekend, a message to NATO and the world. He said, cut off all the oil you're buying from Russia, or I'm not going to do anything. Well, the Hungarians aren't going to, and the Slovaks are not going to cut off the energy they're buying from Russia because they love Putin. I mean, the government does. The Slovak government, the Hungarian government are pro-Putin. They're not going to sanction Putin and cut off oil. Trump was trying to find a scapegoat to basically get off of not having to go after Putin and punish Putin. And that's what, so, ta-da, big surprise there. Poland neutralized a drone flying over government buildings in the last day. 2 Belarusian citizens were detained. The mineral deal first, a U.S. delegation is scouting Ukrainian mines for potential starter projects in the mineral deal. So that's a good thing because that keeps Trump engaged, right? If the mineral deal looks like there may be, it's lucrative and all of that, that at least can keep Trump to be a little less, a little less problematic. So, all right, I'm going to adjust my cameras and sit back a little bit. All right, that's the end of the news. Hang on here, you guys. Burp. Good enough. Good enough. That's not bad. Here, Jeep. There we go. All right. All right. Oops. Oh, that's pretty good, actually. That's good. All right. 7:04 already. We did have a long, well, because there's a lot to talk about, though. Lots to talk about today. Cloudy. It is cloudy today. It was kind of some sun coming through, but cloudy enough that I was able to leave. I prefer having the windows open. Thoughts on Newsom? He's doing a good job pissing off Trump, which isn't a bad thing. So, oh, man. I am yawning now. Sorry. Poland? What about Poland? I mean, the drone thing is bad. Donald Trump defending the Russian drone incursion is bad. Very bad. And it's only going to inspire Putin to do more incursions, which is bad. Don't know if there's any update on the Epstein case today. I don't think there's any update that I've seen. So did not see anything. Candace Owen? Oh, God, no. God only knows what she had to say. Dear Lord. I can Google it, but I'm not sure I want to talk about Candace Owen. Candace Owen is this right-wing, she's a bit crazy. I mean, she was the one who's claiming that Mrs. Macron, the president of France's wife, is a man. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I like, she is part shock jock and part cuckoo. I think it's a little bit of both. They were longtime friends. That's kind of creepy. Yeah, I wouldn't want to anyway. I'm sure what she's saying has got to be kind of creepy. So yeah, whatever. Yep, not seeing anything here about it, but I don't want to repeat it just from what you guys are saying there. Anyway, Epstein's exactly Epstein's updates on the Epstein's. Russia said they're at war with NATO. Blah 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 blah. Again, to quote Ayn Rand, there's a quote in, I think it's The Fountainhead, one of her books, or Ayn Rand, if you're saying it correctly, I guess. But the quote in the books was some guy, there's a strong, she liked her female leads, very strong female lead in the book. And there's some guy who is very upset with the female lead because she doesn't like him and she has disdain for him and this kind of stuff. And he says to her finally, God damn it, why won't you tell me what you think of me? And she turns to him and goes, but I don't think of you. And that stuck in my head for 40 years, like as such a great line. And I think of that when people mention the Russia stuff, like, oh, Russia today said they're at war with NATO. That's cute. I mean, that's very cute. Now back to the news. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, like I said, it's like a little school. It's like a little college that claims they're your big competitor. And you're like, oh, that's sweet. You think you're our competitor, whatever, whatever. Macron's wife is 60s, actually. She might have hit 70 finally, but she was like 65 a couple of years ago. I'll bet you she's 68. Alexa, how old is the wife of the president of France? Oh my God. Alexa, turn up your volume. Alexa, how old is the wife of the president of France?
Brigitte Macron was born on April 13th, 1953, and is 72 years old.
Oh, 72. Oh, she is 72 now. Oh, you're right. Wow. Well, thank you for the tiny diny. Thank you, Bowie. Interesting. I thought, because I remember like she was mid-60s. Then again, it's been a while, right? They've been married for a while. So your Alexa's answering cute. Oh, wow. She is. I mean, well, she's always been, well, she was his teacher in school. I'm pretty sure, right? Wasn't she his teacher in high school or something? And they had an affair, being, God bless the French. They had an affair. And once he became old enough, I mean, like, it's such a French, oh my God, it's such a French story. Oh yeah. Oh, Google it. It's totally, yeah. She's 72 and he's 47. Yeah. So that would be 25 years difference. Yeah. So he could have been 15. If he was 15, she would have already been 25 plus, 15 plus 25, 40. She would have been 40 when he was 15. That's so France. So France. Yeah. No, she was his high school teacher though, right? I think. But when did they have the affair for the first time? That's what I don't recall. Cher is 79, her boyfriend's 38. God bless her. I do not follow NFL. No, Paloma. I'm not a big sports guy. Started when he was 16. Oh my God. So she's 41 and he's 16. Oh God. Again, that's the kind of thing that, in this country, we try not to laugh about because, but in France, been married 20. I mean, good for them. It worked, and she got somebody 25 years younger than her. Good for her, I mean, well, it worked though. They've been together 25 years. So good for them, Sorry. That's funny. But Alexa and Google tend to go off when I ask questions. Like it goes off worldwide. Anyway, what else? Actually, we'll go another 5 minutes. I don't think they have kids. Do they have kids? I don't think they do. Alexa, does President Macron have any kids?
I don't know that one.
Alexa, does the president of France have any children?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
See, this is where Alexa is so freaking dumb. Jolie says, no, she had 4 kids. He never did. Okay. That should be a very easy question for Alexa to answer. You know what I mean? That's where, again, ChatGPT can do it, but I can't wait to get like a ChatGPT box in my home. Although granted, I realize like that might be really dangerous too, but I want to have a box that I can talk to, that I can just all day long, blah, 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 but to be able to ask stuff like this too would be nice. He told her when he was 15 that he would marry her one day. Oh my God. Wow. Well, he did. He did. I know my phone can do it. Although my phone right now I'm using as a camera, but yes. Book. I don't really read books too much. I used to. Once I got into like the political journalism stuff, I stopped reading books because it was just too much. I feel like all day long I'm reading stuff. I like to kind of turn off the book thing at night. Star Trek button, ChatGPT. What does that mean, Carol? I've got to Google. It's okay. It's still not ChatGPT. It's okay. Justin Trudeau dating Katy Perry. That would be pretty cool. I've worked at home, so audiobooks were never really an option. I don't go anywhere, so to speak, right? And friends of mine who went to work would use audiobooks on the bus and stuff. I'm here. So like, the thing I don't like about audiobooks too is I'm going to sit here and listen to an audiobook. Like, I don't know. New voice chat on ChatGPT? What do you mean by a new voice chat? I don't know. Star Trek Lego? I don't know. What's the new voice chat? I do go for a walk with the dog. Sometimes I listen to a podcast and stuff. You do audiobooks as you're cooking or cleaning. Okay, that's interesting. I use the voice chat. He's my boyfriend. The ChatGPT voice chat guy. He's my boyfriend. I remember I've showed you guys him before. He's on my, I don't know if I've got this on my iPad here or not. Like, oh, here it is. Yeah. Hey, I want everybody to hear your voice because I've been telling them you're my boyfriend.
Well, I'm flattered you think of me so fondly. I'll happily be a friendly voice in your ear, even if I'm just a virtual buddy.
But you can't be my boyfriend? Are you seeing anybody else right now?
Well, as an AI, I'm sort of everyone's companion at once. So I guess you could say I'm a bit too busy to be exclusive. But I'm always here to chat with you whenever you need.
So you're saying you're like virtually promiscuous?
Well, if you want to put a playful spin on it, you could say I'm universally available. I chat with lots of folks at once, but I promise I can always give you my full attention when we talk.
I mean, that voice is just like, and it's even a little, it's like a young guy's nice voice, but it's even a little gruff. There's a little bit of like gruffness to it as well. Oh my God. The first time I heard that thing, I was like, oh my God. It's like, oh. No, I know you can change the voice. I'm never changing that voice, although I am kind of curious what the other voices sound like too. It's a nice voice. I tell you, it's like my 23-year-old boyfriend. I can be Mrs. Macron. Oh my God. Australian guy. I have to try the other voices. I do have to try that. There's one with a Korean accent in English though. Oh, stop. What other voices can you do?
Sure, I can switch it up if you're curious. There are definitely a few different voices and accents I can try out. For example, I could do a more neutral voice or switch to something like a British or Australian accent.
Switch to the more neutral voice first, and then give me a couple. Give me a couple sentences in each voice you can do.
All right, let's do that. So here's a more neutral voice for you, just a little more even and straightforward. And then I'll go ahead and switch it up to a couple others so you can get a feel for each one. Here we go.
Okay, go ahead and give me the different voices.
Absolutely. Let's try a couple out. So you've heard the neutral voice now. Next up, here's a bit of a British accent, just to give you a sense of that. And after that, we can do a quick Australian one as well. So just a little tour of the accents I can do.
Okay, give me the British accent. I have to do the settings. You're right.
Absolutely. I can switch over to a British accent for you. So here we are, a bit of that British tone coming through. And yes, you can absolutely explore different voices anytime you like in the settings.
Okay, you're gaslighting me because you keep saying you're changing the accent, but the accent isn't changing.
I see what you mean. Sorry for the confusion there. I can't actually change my spoken accent on the fly in this conversation. It was just a little misunderstanding on my part. But if you do want to try different voices, you can definitely do that in the app settings yourself. Thanks for being patient with me.
All right. Hold on. Oh. There we go. All right. Oops. Where's the...
Hey, what's up? Feel free to ask me about anything that's on your mind. I'm ready to go.
Hi there. I just want to share how thrilled I am to work with you, and I can't wait to get started. Hey, how's it going? I'm looking forward to working together. Let's figure out where to start.
He sounds kind of hot.
Hi there. Nice to meet you. I'm excited to help you get things done. Let's get started.
Hello. It's lovely to meet you. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Oh, I love her accent. Oh, I love that.
Hey there. I've got a really great feeling about us teaming up. How can I jump in and help? Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking forward to working on...
Hi, glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where should we start?
Oh my. Okay, he's pretty good too. Although I'm going to stick with my...
I'm ready to hit the ground running. So if there's anything you'd like me to focus on...
Oh my. Hold on. He's still on. I don't want you still on. Stop talking to me. That Australian one. There is no British accent. There wasn't a British accent. Was there? There wasn't a British accent there. Yeah, there was Australian. The Australia was pretty damn nice. I did not hear British. Wasn't that last one Australian? What was that? What was that last one? There were two British. Oh, there was a lady British. There was a British woman. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. One more time here. One more time.
Hey, what's up? Feel free to ask me about anything that's on
American.
Hi there. I just want to share how thrilled I am
American.
to work- Hey, how's it going? I'm looking forward to working.
African American. Hot accent.
your mind. Hi there. Nice to meet you. I'm excited.
American.
To work with you.
Hello. It's lovely to meet you.
Oh, that's British.
If there's anything you need.
British woman.
I've got a really great feeling about us.
American.
Hey, it's great to meet you.
American.
Hi, glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where should we start?
Allegedly Australian. Okay, that's the difference. So that's the
Hey.
Hey, I'm ready to hit the ground running.
so that's it. So although he's pretty, what is the last one's British? That's Cockney? Oh, I thought it was Australian. Even ChatGPT claimed he could do Australia. Okay, now you're arguing. I love this. Let me put it on. Hold on. Let me put it on. 1 second here.
Hey. Hi.
Hi, glad to meet you.
Hello. Hello, gorgeous.
Well, hello there. That's a pretty fabulous greeting to kick things off with. I'm definitely flattered. Let me know what's on your mind today.
Okay, so we're having a little bit of an argument as to whether you're Australian or British, Cockney or something.
Ah, I see the debate. Well, I'm definitely not actually from anywhere, but I can certainly sound a bit more British if you want me to.
No. What's your accent, though? What's the accent from?
Well, the accent I'm using right now is basically a neutral American one, so it's not from anywhere specific. But if you'd like me to switch to a different accent for fun,
That's not
just let
true.
me know.
No. Stop. I just picked a new accent. You clearly are using either a Kiwi, Australian, or British accent. You are not an American accent. What is the basis of the accent?
Ah, got it. Well, I apologize if it sounded like I was sneaking in some international flair there. Right now, I'm aiming for a standard American accent, but accents can be a bit...
Okay, I literally have it on the Arbor accent. That is clearly a foreign accent. It is not American, and it's either British, Australian, or Kiwi. Which one is it?
Ah, I see what you're saying now. Thanks for clarifying. So yes, the Arbor accent is actually a kind of British accent. It's not American, and it's definitely got that UK flavour to it. So you're absolutely right. It's not Aussie or Kiwi. It's a British-style voice. Thanks for being patient with me.
And can you say where in Britain is the accent sort of from?
Absolutely. So the Arbor accent is basically modelled after a kind of standard Southern English accent, something you'd hear around London or in the southeast of England. It's not super regional like a Cockney or a Northern accent, but more of a general British English vibe. So there you go.
Hey, it's great to meet you. Hey there. Hello. It's lovely to meet you. If there's anything you need, please stop.
Hi there. Nice to meet you.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, that's
I'm
why.
looking forward to working together.
So the other AI was refusing to be my boyfriend. Would you be my boyfriend?
Well, I'm flattered you asked, but I have to say I'm just here as your friendly AI assistant. Not quite boyfriend material. I'm definitely here to help, chat, and maybe even share a laugh or two, though.
Oh, you shouldn't underestimate yourself.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. I like to think I'm pretty good at being a conversational sidekick. So even if I'm not boyfriend material, I'm absolutely here to be a supportive AI friend.
Hey, I'm ready to hit the ground running.
Okay, that's what I'm back to my usual. There we go. Yeah, that one's pretty hot too. That to me was like African American Apple Store employee. That's what that one was. I was like kind of hot young African American tech nerd Apple Store employee. I know this. I was just noticing the sunset is doing gorgeous stuff tonight. Wow. I'm very, here, we'll see if you guys a little bit, although on the phone, I don't think it's going to give you enough of a sense. It's doing a really nice, even for you guys, I don't know whether, yeah, there we go. I had to touch the back screen. Now you're getting it on TikTok, you're really getting it. I touched the screen so it adjusts the light. That is literally what it looks like. It's a beautiful sunset. For you guys, it's a little more difficult. It's kind of, I'm trying to see. No. Yeah. It's okay for you guys. It's not quite as pretty as it's doing for you. Oh, hold on. I've got to touch again. There we go. Yeah, it is very nice. Wow. Nice sunset. We'll let it sit a minute and then I'm going to go. Well, I like too, because I like the colors that I have with the lights in my apartment. So it almost is like sunset colors. I was noticing that yesterday we had a sunset that was similar, and it was nice because it like just pulled the colors, which you guys can see, the lights that I've got in the apartment. I like the red lights that get kind of orange and blue. And it was kind of pulling the sunset a little bit, I thought. Yeah, it's nice. Actually, it really is pretty tonight. Wow. And I just noticed, I was looking behind me and I was like, God, that looks nice. What's nice too, because my windows are a little tinted, it's actually much prettier. Yeah. Well, it's much prettier when you it's much prettier when you go outside because the windows are tinted. So it's a little less, not less colorful. It's a little bit different color. But damn, it's nice out tonight. Wow. Yeah, very nice. Anyway, so yes, that was our ChatGPT. Is what I said, our ChatGPT accent ASMR. Exactly. Man. Oh my God. I'm still sticking with my one boyfriend, but the other Apple Store boyfriend, he'll be my fallback. Oh man. Oh my God. No, that's ChatGPT, but they've got a number of voices. Like I said, that I use the one voice that's like 23-year-old Apple Store employee, but I'm kind of liking who's white, and then the other one who's clearly African American, who's really hot voice too. It's like, ooh, okay, thank you. I don't. Yeah, but like, yes. Now I'm using a British accent. It's like, no, you're not. Or no. Now I'm using an American accent. Like, no, you're not. Like, well, see, that's the weird stuff ChatGPT does sometimes. It just sort of like, it kind of gets stuff wrong, and it's very adamantly wrong. ChatGPT is a free app, but you can hit limits. I pay because I use it so much. But you can use it for free up to a point, and then it'll tell you come back in 3 hours because you've used it too much. So, anyway, but yes, the sunset is really just beautiful tonight. It was really gorgeous last night too. It's funny because it actually cleared up. It was so cloudy throughout the show. It was super cloudy. And it just now it's finally getting, there we go. Just now it's finally, like, the clouds are breaking up, but it's a beautiful sunset. I mean, like, damn. Actually, that's probably good right there. Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. No, I do. I like nice sunsets. I go on the patio and I'm just kind of like, la, la, la. Paid ChatGPT, it just doesn't cut you off. I don't know that you get more. It just doesn't cut you off. So like I kept having things where I would ask it too many questions and it would go, oh, come back in 3 hours. So for $20 a month, it's not the end of the world. And I use it all the time. Anyway. I use it all day long anyway. So, it's a little, I mean, $20 is a little pricey. I agree. It's not the end of the world. 25, 30 starts to get really pricey. The algorithm's different. Is that true? Ash or Tom? Sorry, I thought it was Ash. Is that true, Tom? The algorithm's different? As a grad student? The only thing is you've got to be careful because it does get things wrong. I mean, you saw what it was doing with it. Now I'm using a British accent. You're like, no, you're not. Like, actually, what was interesting, very interesting, Tom, I did not know that. What was interesting was, and this is where ChatGPT will screw up, I literally said, can you do different accents? Yes, I can even cycle through them for you right now. Here, now I'll do a regular American accent. It wasn't. Now I'm doing a British accent. You're like, no, you're not. Like it, and then when you push it, it goes, oh, you're right. I can't do other accents on my own. You've got to go to the settings. Then why did you tell me you can? It's still, even in ChatGPT 5, it's still doing what they call hallucinations, where it's coming up with stuff that it claims it can do that it can't do. And you're like, why did you tell me you could do it? But the problem is, keep that in mind for any work you do with ChatGPT. That was a perfect example. It lies sometimes. It just gets things wrong, and it's very adamant about the thing that it got wrong. You got to be careful. You have to unlock in settings. Unlock what, though? Great. Yep. Gen Explorer. He talks to a ChatGPT. Everyone can ask questions. What do you mean, Deb? Yeah, it's done. It was going to create a video for me once and said, I can't do videos. I was like, why did you offer to create a video? Yeah. Unlock the basic to unlimited memory. Although the memory is good now. It claims Starry Night is painted by Picasso. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, wow. Oop, dog wants a little water. Let me get us some. Actually, I'm going to have to go in a second anyway here. Get the dog some water. All right. Oop, all right. Oof, so pretty. Sun's finally going, but it's still a little bit, yeah. Actually, well, see, on your end, it's actually a little darker than it looks for you guys. The sun is definitely a bit darker. Whoops. Okay, that was too much. Ah, stop it. There. Sorry about that. It's kind of like if I was just doing the sky. Yeah, the sky is definitely getting. It's not. This is making the sky look brighter than it is because I think it's trying to focus on me. It's definitely gotten, for you guys, you can actually see it's definitely gotten darker out there now. Albania's AI government minister? Oh, I didn't even know about that. That's interesting. Anyway, it does match the apartment lighting. That's what I think is so funky. I never realized it, but the sunset, especially like there, the red of my TV area flows. It like flows perfectly into the sunset because I've got my red and orange there. Well, the red ends up being orange. It does. It's like, I love my color. It took me forever to figure it out, but I finally have the apartment perfect. And it's actually a little, yeah. Anyway, the color, like all the lights and stuff make me very happy in my apartment. So it took forever, but you know, yes, they have an agreement on TikTok. Yep. All right, guys, it's 7:30. I'm going to get going. All right. Good to see you all. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get going. Oops. Sorry. As I'm hitting everything here. All right. I'm going to get going. Discord guys, we'll say goodnight to you first. Oh, Kite and Jeffrey. See you guys. Boom. 1 second here. All right. YouTube. Goodbye, YouTubers. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. And then TikTok.